Welcome to another episode of a Talking Point podcast brought to you by Thomas.A. Public Relations in partnership with Barbados Today. Season 2 is all about the business of entertainment. So, Tracy, let's get to a talking point.
Today, we're talking about what it really takes to build a sustainable music career in the Caribbean and what's at stake when we don't protect our creative work. Joining me is my friend and colleague, Scott Galt, of the iconic production duo, the Red Boyz, with hits that have defined modern soca and a deep understanding of both the art and the business. Scott now also serves as chairman of COSCAP, making him the perfect person to talk to about where the industry actually is and where it needs to be. So let's dive in. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Tracy. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I think the praise was a little high,
Oh, stop.
but
There's no way.
but I do have something to share, so you could ask away.
Okay, all right. So you've probably shared this part of your story so many times, but there are people out there who do not know. So for those who don't know, you are half of the duo, the Red Boyz. And tell us about the beginning. How did the Red Boyz come to be?
Back in 2006, Mike and I used to exercise around the garrison, and I had started a beat. It was on, I think it was on Reason, a program, and that was not going home. But there wasn't no lyrics, there wasn't anything on it. It was just a beat. We we submitted it to one or two artists, and then a couple artists called in and said, I hear y'all doing an album.
Mhm.
So, one evening we were walking around the garrison, and Mike and I was talking, and we said, look, you know, obviously artists want to work with us, but we have to come up with a name. I mean, we just can't be like Scott and Mikey. It's kind of corny. So,
Scott and Mikey
at,
Productions.
exactly. So at that time, there was another group called the Red Men, because obviously people of our hue in Barbados, you call us a red man, right?
Mhm.
And we said, well, we can't be red men because they already have a red men. But we said, well, they ain't got no red boys, and we're younger. So that is really how it came about. And we just called ourselves the Red Boys, and it started from there.
I love these kind of backstories because people never believe how these things start. And sometimes it's as simple as that.
Yep.
So over the years, you've worked with some major big names in soca. Can you name a few of the artists and the songs?
We did, well, major ones. We did Lucy by Destra,
Oh yeah.
um, Engine Room. A lot of people know Engine Room by Olatunji. We did Hookin' Me, Farmer Nappy.
Mhm.
We actually did a lot of work with Farmer Nappy. A lot of his catalog was done by us. Of recent, we did a rhythm in Trinidad that we had called it Tell the Hall Rhythm, that we had voice
Love
on,
that. Yeah.
Marshall, lyrical. This lady Anika Berry, she did a song called Saddle, um, and we also worked with Young Brother, who has a big hit, Greatest
Yeah.
Band Over. We did Catapult with him.
I have so many songs in mind. But for you, what is your favorite production that you've ever worked on?
I had like working on My House by Farmer
Oh,
Nappy.
that's a good song, yeah.
Um, that was different. I played some Spanish nylon guitar on that. Lucy, actually, I enjoyed working on that because it was dark to bright, if I may say. It started out very, I guess, not ominous is a word, but it had a darkness to it. And then when it came to the chorus, I'll lose it on, it changed gears almost. It's like it was night and day.
Yeah.
That was an experiment that worked. I guess the third song was I guess, big people party. And I will
Oh
tell you
yeah.
why. I will tell you why. Because that song is just one chord, one chord.
Mhm.
And when you work on songs that are very limited, it allows you to be creative because you don't have much to work with. So you rely more on creativity than gear, if that makes sense.
You've been busy this year. You got that one with Nikita, Keep Up, Loving the One by Bobo, Favorite Time of Year. You got Only Human by Lead Pipe and Satis. You guys stay busy during
Yeah,
our season for Crop Over and also in Trinidad for Carnival. And I'm
yeah,
sure also throughout the region for different
yeah.
carnivals and celebrations. So, what are some key things based on your observations and working with artists? Some key things that you've seen that contribute to an artist's longevity in this industry?
Um, I would say the number one thing is to always have humility,
Mhm.
because especially in soca, I call it a 100-meter race because you may have a good year this year, but next year you may not have any song, and people book you based on your popularity, and like you may have a big song this year, and then if you gloat on it, right, and the next year you don't have a big song, then promoters may not be inclined to work with you because they were like, well, you had a big song last year and you was calling astronomical figures, and this year now you don't have anything, now you come crawling back. So to cut a long story short, I think that you have to show a sense of humility,
Yeah.
and it is not only artists but production, and humility is what is going to ride you through the years that you don't really have big songs but promoters still like you
Yeah.
and they will put you on their shows.
You mentioned the 100-meter race, obviously, which is like a sprint, right? It doesn't really speak
Yeah.
to longevity. What do you think, in your opinion, is holding soca artists back from building a long-term career?
Well, I think first of all you have to have everything together. You have to have your songs properly registered. You have to have a team that is going to focus on your social media. You have to have proper management, and having a team, you have to have people that believe in you, because when you're starting out especially, you're not going to have the budget to pay that team. But if you say we're all in this together, right, people will work with you.
I like that. So let's dive more into the business and the industry. On the show so far, we spoke to an investment broker, and one of the things we spoke about with him is the importance of you be in the business, of treating your art and your work like a business. And I've seen you guys operate. I know people joke that the Red Boyz are the only producers that's working banking hours 8 to 5.
Yeah.
But really and truly, you guys do treat your studio like a full-on business. And how did that start? Where did it begin? What was the process? Tell us if it was challenging. Take us on that journey.
Well, it certainly didn't start so. When we started out, we started recording. We had a $99 mic, and basically, what was the sound card now called a Teratech, where you didn't even plug in quarter-inch cables. You plugged in RCA cables. So
Oh,
that was
wow.
that. Yeah, right. And we started from there, and we didn't have much. And as time went on, we bought a better converter. We bought this piece of equipment. We bought that, whatever. It was only after a couple of years we were like, we could make some money, real money doing this, and it kind of formed into that. It didn't happen overnight for sure. Um, and we've reached a stage now where we we have people now that do things for us. Like before, I used to upload songs and try to sell songs and stuff, but we have somebody that does that for us now, Foxview. So I just send stuff to them. If somebody wants to use a song or a song in our catalog in a TV show or whatever, I send it to our publisher that does that. So, you know, certain things I don't really do anymore. I know how it works,
Yeah.
but you know, it reaches a point where you can't do everything yourself. It's impossible. You know, you may try, but then you realize that when you try doing this, then the other is gonna suffer.
But you started making music, you had minimal equipment, you definitely had a space to work in. And then when did you realize we can't maintain this studio if we do this from a seasonal perspective? Like how are you all able to have the studio operating year round like a functioning business?
Luckily enough, Mike and I used to actually we started out, with the exception maybe of like one or two songs, we started out doing jingles together. And for those who don't know a jingle is like when you listen to the radio, like a 30-second spot listening to somebody advertise a product or, you know, a service. And we started doing that more so. And I mean, we still do it, but we did start out doing, you know, jingles for a couple $100. And, you know, because music could only fill that void for a certain time. So, you know, I was playing out, and then Mikey was doing, apart from us working together on Crop Over and then doing jingles together, he was also doing his own ad work and stuff like that, like voiceovers and stuff like that, which he still does. So there's always been the void being filled, and I mean, anybody that has been in the studio business, you know, a lot of studios that have been around a long time are at home,
Yeah.
right? Because obviously the costs are a lot lower and stuff like that. You know, you look at Nicholas's studio is by his, you know, late mother's house. You know, you look at Mikey's studio, well, the Red Boyz studio is at a residence per se. It started out there. You know, so yeah, I mean Chris's studio, Slam City, you know, is also at a house, you
True.
know. So
Yeah.
a lot of those things save money. I mean, I've seen studios that started out at a location other than a house, and after a year or two closed down because you just gotta maintain the rents and stuff like that. So, but as I said, that is, you know, you have to do different things. Fortunately for us, we do Crop Over, and as soon as, I mean, we're finished Crop Over, then you have Carnival,
Yeah.
and you have, you know, you have Grenada, you have Antigua as well. You got St. Vincent. So, you know, you basically work all year round.
But
But
I feel like
it
part
didn't
of this
happen
is
overnight.
like right, because eventually your work spoke for itself. But I think to your credit too, I think both of y'all may be really good at client facing, you know, because y'all built relationships over time. You've formed partnerships with different ad agencies that learn to trust you. Just
Yeah.
tell me a bit about the importance of that, of building relationships.
I mean, relationships is the number one factor. I mean, you can be good, but if people don't like working with you, they're not going to work with you.
Yeah.
So you have to be fair, but you have to have a likability too to you, because people. I mean, let's be real. You're not going to go and work with somebody that, you know, every time you go and work with them is like you there's like an elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Don't
you
want
want to
that.
work. you want to be able to go into a situation where you feel comfortable. You're comfortable with them and they're comfortable with you.
In your opinion, if you had your way, what would you like to see more of in the Caribbean music industry as it is right now, whether it is infrastructure, mindset, or investment? Like, what is your vision there?
Um, I think it's a bit of everything. They do have to have more investment into it. Like if you look at Jamaica, Jamaica invests heavily in the music culture and the sporting culture. That's why I mean, when you look at Jamaica's track, they're up there, they're like at the pinnacle. And their music too is very well respected. And you actually have a lot of mainstream people that have reggae influence and stuff like that. Because there's significant investment in it. What I would like to see is that we need to invest, especially, the government needs to invest in people that can do something and just not be political about it. You choose the best man for the job as opposed to who you know. And I think that holds us back, especially in the Caribbean, because I mean, in a place like Barbados, 166 square miles, you know, Tracy, if you know me and then you know somebody else that produces, they might be better than me, but you may say, well, I know Scott, so I'm going to give Scott the work or the job, right? And that is good in a sense, but it also retards the industry from moving forward. That's just my opinion.
The growth of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. And based on what you've seen, the artists you've worked with and you continue to work with, is there a gap in how we prepare artists, not just creatively, but professionally?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be professional. I think, and this is from a production standpoint. I work with many artists, big, small, big artists, small artists. And what I realized about the more successful ones is that they are very like on point in terms of like their business. And if you say 9 o'clock, they're there at 9 o'clock or there before. They respect time. Unfortunately, you have people that have immense talent, but they lack on the professional side. And I think that you need to have both to be aligned, just not one. And especially when you're dealing with the corporate world, in terms of like, when I mean corporate world, like you're looking to get sponsorship, you're looking to be a spokesperson for a brand or whatever, people are going to look at who is professional rather than who is talented. So I think that is something that we also need to work on.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, agreed. I've seen you guys in studio, I've worked with producers myself, and I see what you all bring to the artist development process. And an artist that works well with the producer and trusts their producer and the producer trusting the artist really helps that artist to find their inner voice and hones their voice and therefore produce even stronger work, right? Because at the end of the day, it's for the sake of the song and the sake of the art. So
Yeah.
how important for you is it that producers behind the scenes and creatives behind the scenes are known and recognized as part of the ecosystem?
I always believe like to have your credits right, because they have people that you need to acknowledge I mean, probably 80% of people don't look at credits, don't know who worked on songs and stuff. I mean, they have people that just don't care about those things. They just want to know that they like the song. They have some people that will go and look at the credits, and I always make sure that, anything that we do, everybody that worked on it is credited, so that, when 20 years down the road, you can say, well, they played on this song, or, and then when you check back, you say, yeah, actually they did. So I think that documentation is very important. But for me personally, and I don't talk for anybody, I'm just talking for myself.
Yeah.
I don't think that, like, I just don't need to be seen, quite honestly.
I'll find the producer tag. Scott is all about the quiet
No.
luxury of music.
I just
Doesn't
I
need to be
just
seen.
wanted people to hear me. That's all. You know.
Understood. That's fair. But the credit is important. I do agree.
Yeah.
So let's dive into ownership, protection, IP. Let's dive into the COSCAP world. What do you think are the biggest misconceptions about COSCAP? And what would you like artists to better understand about how it works and what it offers?
So COSCAP is an organization that collects money, and it collects money on behalf of its members. So once you're a member of the organization, the organization will collect on your behalf. Now, there are four different categories. There's executive producer, which is the person that owns the actual recording. There are the performers, which are the people that played on the recording or the artists on the recording singing. Then there's the writers, which is a different copyright, which is not in the recording, but is called underlying copyright, where you have people that write. And then you have the publishers, which act on behalf of the writer. So they manage, I mean, there are two types of publishers. There's the admin publisher, which just registers your copyright and stuff like that. And then there's the actual publisher, which takes a percentage of your money, whatever you license it in. They take a percentage based on what you agree to. It's normally 50-50. And then they take a percentage and then they shop your catalog. So songs that you wrote or whatever. So that's what COSCAP does. Those are the four tiers or four categories of membership. Now, you also have staff that work at COSCAP. So those are what you call admin costs, right? So obviously they have to work because they're not doing it for free. So then anything that is left back, it is then distributed amongst the members. Now, one or two people have been disgruntled about what they're getting from COSCAP or whatever. But in all fairness, you can only pay out what is logged. So they have some people that work on radio that don't log, right, properly. So when you submit those logs to COSCAP can only pay what is recorded or what is written down, right? So I always urge, and this is a plea too to all the members watching this, is that to go, COSCAP is now online. Go register your works, upload your works, and upload an MP3. And then when you upload the MP3, BMAT, which is a system, it is I guess, maybe AI, I don't know. Yeah. And what it does is that it listens to what is playing on the radio, and then it generates logs of what is played. So, yeah, right? Okay. So it's like an AI, it's almost like an AI. So it listens to the radio and it generates logs based on what is played. So, I encourage people to do that, because I mean, you have to collect money all around.
Yeah.
I'm a member of COSCAP and BMI, right? And, there are some payments that aren't all up there. There are some payments that are great, and then you have other societies that will pay. But, I encourage people to join, and I'm not advocating for COSCAP. It's just that COSCAP is Barbadian, right? Yeah. But there are hundreds of copyright organizations that you could join up with. If you're not comfortable, join up with COSCAP if you want to go with somebody else. But I'll be honest, is that I'm a member of two organizations, and really and truthfully, there isn't much difference between the two. I'll be very honest.
Interesting. That's actually some great information. I love that you mentioned that you are part of COSCAP and BMI, because I always hear many artists talk about, which performance rights organization should I join? Can I join one? Can I join two? Can I see the difference? Who reports better? But it's good that you shared this information, because what it will do is that it will help people to do proper research, ask the right questions. And I think
Yeah.
that's so important for any creative that's a part of this industry. Can you go to the beginning, like in terms of if a new artist right now is listening and they're trying to understand, like, how do I get a split sheet? And where do I start that conversation in the recording process in order to get the correct information to COSCAP? Can you just take us through how that process works?
There are two major copyrights. So there's the writer's agreement or the split sheet, which basically says um, it is not really that detailed. It just has on the date, right, of the contract, the name of the song, the name of the artist, and who worked on it. And it will basically, you may say, okay, well, Tracy and I did a song, so we're going to decide, well, how are we going to split it? We say, okay, 50-50. So on line one, you would have your name, your copyright society, and your IPI number, which is your registration number of which society you're with, right? They give you what you call an IPI number. I think it's intellectual property identification. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it is.
Yeah, sounds right
And
to me.
yeah, and it gives you the number. And then line two, then it will put Scott Galt and it will put my society, my IPI number, and then we will put the percentages, right? And then we sign on that, and basically that is a split sheet. That is a document that I will give you a copy. I will retain a copy, and then you can upload that sheet to COSCAP or any other society, and say, right, these are the splits, and this is how we want to register it. The other one now is the master agreement, which is a lot more detailed because they can have a lot of stipulations in the master contract saying, how much you're being paid, and basically how you really work it is that people pay you an advance on royalties, right? And that will go against sales or whatever. I mean, it's changed to it downloading and stuff like that. But it is, I mean, it can be very simple. It can just be I da 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 of this address, own this song, and thing produced it or whatever, and then the producer signs off and says, yes, I sign it. And then the master rights owner or the person that's paying for the recording will sign and say, right. And then that's basically a black and white agreement between the two parties saying that you own the recording, right?
Okay.
You can get a lot more detailed. You can get 10-page contracts. You can get 2-page contracts. So I would leave that for the lawyers.
Well, since
Yeah.
we're on this topic, can you tell us why you think contracts, copyright registration, business formation aren't just formalities, but essential tools for creative ownership?
Well, I mean, when you register your works and you have everything done properly, it gives you a legal foot to stand on, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody does something, takes your song and runs with it or whatever, then you can have some legal recourse and say, well, look, this is mine. I registered this song. So let's talk some dollars now because you have done what you want with it. You have made X dollars or you have infringed on my rights. And based on that, you can go after that person if you want to. You can seek legal advice.
For artists and music professionals, what should members be doing to maximize the benefits of COSCAP? Are there any benefits that you see that you're like, y'all are not utilizing this particular thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to flog a dead horse, but you have to register your works. There are a ton of people out there. I mean, we use Fox Fuse but there's like DistroKid, and there's a whole slew. What's the other
These are distribution
things?
companies, right?
Yeah, distribution companies. So they take a commission, a cut. I think is like 20% or something like that, and you upload your works, and then they deliver it to the stations. I mean, to the streaming platforms, I should say.
Yeah.
Spotify, Apple, Deezer, Amazon, right?
Title.
And
Yeah.
Tidal. And based on how many, I mean, if you have a hit song and you have your stuff together in the right way, you can stand to make a good set of money.
Yeah.
Because streaming, I mean, it doesn't pay a lot. Like I always make a joke, like when Alexa's playing in the kitchen and they play a song that I produce or whatever, I would be saying, yeah, I just got 0.001 cent. Right? So, yeah, I mean, streaming doesn't pay, but I believe in having your stuff in order so when something does happen, that you stand to benefit.
Correct.
And I would tell that to anybody.
Can you think about an experience that turned out to be an example or a lesson where the formal process did not take place, no contracts were signed, and at the end you were like, you see, this is why you got to sign a contract. This is why it's so important to do that. Can you think about an example or a story that you can share, a real story that an artist listening could be like, okay, I get it, Scott. I get it.
There's just an example. I mean, we did do a song and it was done basically like, all right, there's my friend, da 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 da, whatever. We did a song. And after the song was released, we got a call. And it was like, what's this person saying? They said that the song was released by somebody else.
Oh no.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't dealt with properly. Yeah. And up to now, and it was a very popular song, up to now, I haven't gotten anything from it. All Red Boyz haven't gotten anything from it. So it just goes to show, and I'll be honest, and this happens all the time as well. Mm-hmm. You might do something and somebody brings a song to you that was done by somebody else or whatever, and you don't know.
Yeah.
Because you're hearing it for the first time, you don't know. And then all of a sudden you work on it and you do this and then put it out, and then somebody comes to you and says, well, no, so-and-so did this song 2 years ago. I'm like, what? And then you go on YouTube and you research and say, oh no, they ain't lying. This song was done before. Yeah. But you have no idea. So as a producer, you don't know. And, you have to rely on people's, judgment and good sensibility to do the right thing. But sometimes it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, understood. Woof.
But we've been burnt already.
Yeah. You have to be burnt, though. This is kind of what this industry is. It's the only way you grow, too. It's situations that teach you a lot.
Something, I'll just digress a little bit. Something that I didn't even know. Well, notwithstanding being in the media right now, Puff Daddy, when he did Every Breath You Take, he did not get permission to do it.
Yeah.
From the police.
From Sting?
From Sting, yeah.
Yeah.
And two people I know that don't play around with their rights is Sting and Eddie Grant.
He really doesn't. Yeah. So
right?
True. So true.
So he did the song, and I guess Sting waited and see what would happen with the song.
Yeah.
And then he came, and he basically, I think he took all the rights to the song. And also, what I learned is that every day P. Diddy has to pay him $2,000 every day.
What?
Every day. And is just a lesson to anybody out there. You have to be very careful and, make sure that you do the right thing, and you can't just do a song. We have done remakes. We did Against All Odds. We did something by Camila Cabello. I can't remember the name of the song now that Nikita did. But we went through. Yeah, we went through.
The reggae cover.
We went through Harry Fox agency, and we paid them to cover the song. Now, although we only mastered, we still had to pay the people that wrote the song and stuff like that. So it was done legitimately.
But again, this information is given some artists or producers the right questions to ask. So when we call COSCAP, we know what the right questions are. Let's look ahead now. So what gives you hope about the future of soca and Caribbean music on the global stage? What keeps you going?
I love making music, and I say I make music that I like, and my hope is that other people like it. That's all I can do. I
love that for your job. You love what you're doing. That's a blessing.
And I am aware of what people like, and I don't really want to put myself. Sometimes you put yourself in the proverbial box, because if you go too hard left or too hard right, you may not get play. But every now and again, you may be a little risky and do something that you try a thing. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. And I'll just digress and give you a perfect example. When Lucy was being done,
that would be a example in my head.
if you listen to the top, the chords are not traditional chords. It doesn't start like a soca song.
No.
So, and that was a big song for her. It's one of our biggest songs that we did, but it was a chance that we took, and it paid off.
Yeah. I mean, Red Boyz or any production house or producer that is known, they have a sound. So there are things you get used to in a good way. You're like, oh, this is definitely a Red Boyz hit. I love it. When I first heard Lucy, I had no clue. I was just like, I love this song. I wonder who produced this song. And I go on YouTube and I was like, what? And I love when that happens. Like those surprises in between to show like, we could go left. Sometimes go left and it could still be good. So Scott, we've talked about a range of things today. We talked about music, production, artist development. We had some crazy stories about contracts. We talked about how the studios ran. What are you guys doing now? And for someone who wants to be in touch and to work with you, how do they find you?
All right. Well, you can email the Red Boyz, DEREDBOYZ @gmail.com. And then we're also on Instagram at the Red Boyz, which is the same DEREDBOYZ. And basically, anybody out there that is wants to do production and stuff like that, I always say, look, produce, start small, and let it grow, and also maintain good relationships, and always be that person that people want to work with.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Scott. This was a great chat today. Scott shared some of his history and some hard truths with us today, some things to make us think and to help us ask the right questions. From building the beats to protecting your brand, this conversation reminds us that the music industry is still an industry, and the more we understand it, the more we can own it. Be sure to follow on Instagram Barbados Today and Thomas.APR, and visit thomasapr.com and follow the hashtag @TalkingPointPodcast.
Thanks, Tracy. This episode of A Talking Point podcast was brought to you by Thomas.A Public Relations in partnership with Barbados Today. Remember that new episodes drop every Tuesday right here on Barbados Today's YouTube channel, and then on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Until next time, this has been a Talking Point podcast.